What is this trend called diversity? Please help me welcome Linda.
Greetings. Diversity is a trend that's ever contemporary, historical, and futuristic. It touched our ancestors, it touches the next generation, and it touches each of us right here, right now. Within the borders that create our community, on the bookshelves, in the songs, through our oral histories, on websites, we find stories that celebrate what we share in common and embrace our differences. And suddenly the borders dissolve between California and Mexico, between Idaho, between the real and online, between government legislation, the streets, and our bedrooms. Diversity is named and defined in places of great power. It's articulated at kitchen tables, in schools, in churches, houses of worship, and court proceedings. Diversity is both fiery and tame, depending on one's perspective, the context, the issue at hand, and one's mood at the time. Sometimes the definitions and images are sharp and explicit. Racism, wetback, guinea, spick, homophobe, old boys club, white trash. Sometimes the definitions and visualizations are easier on the senses. Rainbow coalition, globalization, the melting pot, pluralism. When there are walls of ignorance between people, when we don't know each other's stories, we substitute our own myth about who that person is. When we're operating on myths alone, none of that person's truth will ever be known to us, and we will injure them, mostly without our even meaning to. What assumption did you make about her because she's a woman, about him because he's black? The stories of trauma, joy, devastation, and survival must be acknowledged, listened to, respected, and sometimes acted on behalf of. The meaning of the word respect means to look again. By suspending our suspensions, by suspending our assumptions, we recover the ability to respect and to look again. This creates an opening for the other person to be seen, to be understood on his or her own terms, and not based on our own rigid preconceptions. What is our part in diversity? We express diversity through our actions and communications. When we sit at a local board meeting, when we go to our neighborhood association meeting, on the job, in our neighborhood, and at the local potluck. Once we have the rationale and the reasoning and the justification about why we must honor diversity, what's the work? The work has a backdrop of affirmative action backlash, hate crimes, the relationship between civil rights and equal access, of individuals who claim the right to self-identify outside of the box, and finally the breaking down and diminishing of harsh images and stereotypes. What is this trend called diversity? It's realizing the interconnections between people, heightening communication, realizing the power of distinction and of the story. Diversity is a trend that is ever contemporary, historical, and futuristic. Thank you.